It looks like you're tilted again.
What's crazy is because I have to go this way,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to bring you back around.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Artist Experience.
Our guest today is Pablo de Leon. Am I pronouncing that right?
Pablo de Leon.
Pablo de Leon. He is a speaker, author, filmmaker, producer, and he has produced 4 shorts and 2 full features. Welcome, Pablo. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, of course. Writing. Right now, everyone's in isolation, right? So do you think that being in isolation kind of helps or hurts the creative process?
I think it just depends on the person. Some folks lack creativity. This is kind of a crazy idea of thinking it this way, but you think of a guy that's been in prison, and they become so much more creative when they're in prison than they were outside of prison.
Right.
So it just seems like being in isolation just depends on the person, the way they see it. And for me, anytime I get into isolation, in any way, I always feel like there's so many things that want to come out. So I get into writing mode, I get into creative mode, I get into want to do videos, really start taking more time towards setting up meetings with the other producers, the directors, some of the guys that I'm partners with to start working on a new project. But I know I can tell you this: I would have never thought that I would be able to do my own pitch deck, and I did it myself. Instead, so many folks, go out and they hire someone else.
Yeah.
But no, I did it myself, and I think I did a very, very good job.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it impressed my, entertainment attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, who did this? Who did you hire? He thought I'd hire like a line producer or some sort.
Yeah.
I'm a producer, so I did it myself.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way where like if I'm stuck inside like right now, I'm kind of like almost forced to like focus and just get the work done, instead of going out and there's all these distractions and stuff. Whereas, now it's like kind of forcing me to focus.
Absolutely. It's, well, you have that. Not everybody. Some people just waste their time just, doing other things. Like, spend most of the time watching movies or things
watching
that are not
YouTube.
productive, smoking weed, playing video games. I'm like, dude, like YouTube. Exactly. Especially watching YouTube videos on content.
It can just,
it's just a bunch of lies. Like all that, that new media stuff. It's crazy. And I'm really blown away because, I have friends that, that have young kids and the videos that they watch, and I couldn't believe, they actually buy into this stuff. So you got to be careful what you watch. So that
it's very addicting, and it starts very early on nowadays. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially during these times, where the media is already enough where there's so much negativity out there.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody is on the edge. So if you're watching other videos that just keep putting out negative content, I was like, it's not making it work. It's not going to help you to become more confident and motivating towards your goals. You're just wasting time.
I mean, that's good. That's like kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to start this in the first place was, to bring out a little more positivity and, give some people like some value and insight into this industry,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So but thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate that. I know you started this artist experience. I thought that was pretty cool. So
thank you. Appreciate it. I guess let's just dive right into it.
Okay.
The first question is, I guess, talk a little bit about your background. What made you decide to want to become a writer?
It's funny. You asked that question. It's a very good question, as a matter of fact, just because based on my background, when my parents migrated to the United States, I spoke very little English, and I didn't speak English at all. So I might even say a little English, but I would have never thought that I would have been an author because of my English barrier. I was immediately put into remedial classes.
Right.
And that was my whole, 12 years of my life taking remedial classes because I was a slow learner. I wasn't a fast learner. There's certain ways that, kids grow up, and this is something I learned, is that everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
Like me, you tell me to read. I wasn't, pushed to read. So I was very physically active, and I love to stay physically active till this day. But I've learned to also get better at reading. You got to become more knowledgeable if you want to grow as a businessman or businesswoman. You have to invest in yourself, and that means you got to read. If you prefer audio, well, of course, books now are done in audio.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no excuse,
Yeah, yeah.
to not invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I went through a period where back in '08, or even before then, one of my friends, mentors that really inspired me after a lot of things that I struggled with growing up. I overcame a lot of insecurities. I overcame a lot of adversity and so forth. So the thing that drove me to want to become a writer was, aside from my mentor, was that I wanted my voice to be heard. I wanted to motivate and encourage other people because I wasn't encouraged. I wasn't motivated. I had played professional ball for about a year or two. I didn't get to play my second year, a full year, because I got injured in spring training. But I was around the wrong type of people. And those people, what I mean is, they don't pour into you. They just say, no, well, maybe this ain't for you. Maybe this ain't for you. I was like, well, if it wasn't for me, if I look back now, if it wasn't for me, if the gift wasn't for me, then I wouldn't have made it at the level that I did.
Right.
It's just like anything else. Everyone faces circumstance. Everyone faces roadblocks. Everyone gets knocked down. What are you going to do? You got to get back up. And I just had the wrong circle of friends around me to say, stay down, in an indirect way.
Yeah.
Stop trying.
Yeah.
It's like, so that really put me in a very depressive mode. And so for quite some time, and, I started writing. I started finding other ways to let it out.
Yeah.
Otherwise I was going to let all this anger, just fester and just get me down. And
it's unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that anger festered, I channeled it in different ways. I became creative. Because,
right.
like we talked earlier, I felt trapped. I felt isolated in my own body, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would take this time to really let out all your creative skills come out. And if you don't think you have the creative skills, trust me, you have it. You just got to learn to let it out.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah, for sure. I think you touched upon earlier that a lot of people going through this creative journey, just wanting to follow their dreams, unfortunately, a lot of the detractors, the people who, will be negative towards them, will be their very own family and friends. They'll like, yeah.
Absolutely. In the early stages of my career, especially playing ball, yeah, those my parents. My mom was very supportive, but my father just wasn't as supportive as mom was. I've been lucky or blessed to have my siblings. They've always looked up to me. I'm the oldest, so just by default, they look up to me regardless. Yeah. So and when I learned that early on was that no matter if I did the wrong things, I influenced my siblings. If I did the right things, I influenced my kids. I said my siblings.
Yeah.
But man, and when I took notice of that, that's when I started making better decisions and wanted to be a more positive role in their lives.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about like the whole creative process. Like for me, I have like a dozen ideas a day, right? I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people, So I guess the question is, how do you focus on one idea? You take one idea and say, I think this could go somewhere. I think this is like worth pursuing,
Yeah, I have two other projects that are just on the back burner, but I have other projects that right now I've kind of moved them to the front line, just because when you look at the budgets, which one's going to cost you more? You got to look at it from that angle. Yeah. The other two is you got to look at it from the business side. Is this a film that will sell now? You have to ask yourself: is this the film you're wanting to do is a passion project, or is it a business project? And they're both, of course, should be in something that you're passionate about, because at the end of the day, if you're a creator, if you're a filmmaker, you're doing what you love, right? Yeah. Now, it may not be the particular genre or your passion project you want to do. Like, for example, I want to do a baseball film. I won't give the title just yet, but it's something that it's been in my heart for a while. But when I understood the business, that film just doesn't do well right now. It's very borderline. So you better do it right. Right. So not to say there's not an audience for it, but it's not going to do or be as effective as a film that actually sells, like a holiday film.
Right. Gotcha.
So, yeah. And I'd rather do a holiday film anyhow. And I never thought I would do that either, because I want it to be more of an action character. Doesn't mean that I won't later on, but I will. But yeah, man.
Yeah. So a lot of it is the executives. A lot of it is the market at the moment.
Exactly. What's trending, what sells.
Yeah.
If you're doing what you love, it's right up your alley. So just do what's best for the market, because you got to eat. You got to
Right,
make
right.
money. And,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not doing this for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be doing it for the money
Hmm.
because that's what you want to do for a living.
Right,
And
right.
so, and just like another job, if a guy wants to be a firefighter, he becomes a firefighter because he wants to be a firefighter. He
Yeah.
loves to do that. As a filmmaker, you should be able to make a living and do what you love.
Hmm.
So
it's a balance between
mm-hmm.
being able to create something that you enjoy versus something that can be marketed, can make money. Right.
Absolutely. I will tell you, the artist life does take time. It is a process.
Yeah.
You have, just like anything else. You know this. I probably know this, that every business, for it to really skyrocket, you have to be at least stable for 5 years, and that's like the breaking point. And I didn't believe that. I think I could make my breaking point in 1 year or 2
Yeah.
years, but it is the truth.
Uh-huh.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Any business that you start, it takes time, and the artist life is no different.
Yeah.
If you get a break before then, great. But it does take time, and you got to
Right.
put in the work.
Mm.
I will tell any artist out there: do not depend on your casting directors or to get up there quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, that's gonna take a lot longer. If you really want to advance quick in this industry, you
Yeah.
gotta learn to create your own content,
Mm.
and that's what I did. I
Right.
learned real quick.
So you can't count on any miracles or anything like that. You just got to put in the time and the work.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I learned from a mentor, and I came up with my own quote that if you place your destiny in the hands of someone else, you may never get that opportunity. So you have to be your own creator. You have to be your own. You have to create your own destiny.
Right, right. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then you'll start attracting other people that will give you opportunities, and that's when. But you got to show what you can do.
Right, right. Cool. Can you talk a little bit about like the process in which, like, say you have an idea and that idea, how does that idea, the process, of that going from just an idea to like a whole movie that's being like sold and watched by people?
Well, first I come up with the idea. Then I start developing or connecting, networking with a team, putting a team together, because you need a team. You can't do it by yourself. And develop a team that sees the same vision you see.
Right.
And it's again, that takes time. You have to network. When I say network with a team, developing a team, we're talking about an editor. We're talking about the cinematographer. Yeah. We're talking about a producer. And if you get lucky and get around to where you can network with somebody who's an entertainment attorney, and even entertainment attorneys are looking for content, because they get in on becoming a producer, executive producer on your project. If they see that you can create quality content, they will very well support your idea, and they will make it on the back end with when the film gets picked up by the studios. So so and that's what I've done. I've attracted that opportunity. So I've been able to get that. I've been blessed to have my entertainment attorney, but not just one, but two. And one of them's on my team. So I'm really glad about that. And you got to have those guys on your team.
Is it? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, the reason I say that is because when you get into the distribution and negotiations, and then they'll take advantage of you. And so, but it's developing a team.
Developing a team.
Start the idea, but you got to create a vision, like a cover, a script, something that really is attractive to that will pull a team to your project. Because that's what I do. When people saw my project, like, oh, dude, I want to be a part of that. Yeah. So and that's when I've been able to package that thing together.
Is it like the same team every time, or you?
No. Okay. No, like when I did Ghost Note, I had a friend reach out to me because we worked on a film called The Ugly. It was a short film. So when we did Ghost Note, my first full feature, I invested in that. He reached out to me, and I became one of the executive producers. But since we worked together, so I invested in being a part of that, and I had an acting role in that. Of course, I'm not going to invest if I don't have an acting role in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've been paying for. I'm paying not only to have content, make money, but also to get my face out there.
Yeah, you're trying to get out there.
Absolutely. So that's the way I look at it. You're investing in your own brand.
Okay.
So, but the people you're going to invest in, make sure they produce quality content, because that's important. If you ever want to become an A-list, you don't want people to see you as a D, C list quality films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a different team. That was Skyclad Productions. Okay. The second full feature, Natural Hair, the movie, is with Grind Over Matters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started mine, which is Loose Legal Films, which I'm working on a project that I packaged together through Loose Legal Films.
Okay. Can you kind of talk about the role of a producer? Because I think a lot of like people hear that and they hear like, oh, this movie was produced by so-and-so or by a certain company, right? But they don't really know like what the producer, what they actually do, you know? Can you talk a little bit about it?
Every producer is different. You have line producers also. Line producers handle a lot of your budget. They kind of determine where the money's going to go. They also handle like the contracts, the agreements, and so forth. The producer, like what I did is I put a pitch deck together. I was able to do that. I think about locations. You know, I do like I look where I'm going to shoot. So I try to get the permits, reach out to the city. Like my film that I wanted to do is in San Antonio. So I reach out to the San Antonio Film Commission, and they gave me all these. I can get certain incentives, or the permits. That's who you reach out to get that. So that's what a producer's role does.
Okay.
Sometimes there's other guys that want to be a producer on the project.
Yeah.
But so we kind of just spread out the responsibility so that way it doesn't fall on just one producer.
Gotcha. So there can be multiple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, if they bring in money, of course, you can just be a contributor.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's your input.
Cool. There's a topic I want to touch on a little bit. It's kind of a sensitive topic, so I want to tread lightly.
Okay.
So you're Hispanic, I'm Asian. You know, within the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen a major shift in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Major wave of diversity, representation. Do you want to kind of, I kind of want to just hear like your thoughts on all that.
Bro, you know, I never, that never crossed my mind up until I think a year or two ago, when I started to see how many Latino actors that were actually leading in Hollywood. And I haven't seen ones besides Antonio Banderas is the one I grew up on. Antonio Banderas. Yeah, and then you got Benicio del Toro that came into the scene doing Sicario. So I was like, man, Benicio del Toro. And then of course you had Danny Trejo, who plays Machete. That guy was being typecast, you know, as like this rapist, this killer. Killer. And he started to, and that's when I started to learn a little bit about. I mean, of course, I learned it a little early on before he did. He learned it years later. I learned it really early on about what it means to be typecast. So he started branding himself, but I'm glad that I learned early on because I didn't want to be the Mexican lawn guy, the leaf blower guy, the dishwasher, the Mexican gangster, or, you know, because of my smile. I grew up before I even started my acting career. You were too young for the Chip Show. Remember? I don't know if you know Chips.
I know the reboot. I know the reboot.
Yeah, the reboot.
Yeah.
So back in the day, it was Chips with Eric Estrada. So anytime I smile, people would say, "Oh, that's Eric Estrada right there. You're gonna be the future Eric Estrada." So that stayed with me. So I knew there's one role that I would not take is a cop role. Because I know that I was going to be labeled as Eric Estrada. So I don't mind years later down the road in my career, but I just won't play that role. But yeah,
really,
but you're right. As an Asian guy and as a Hispanic guy, I didn't see this till about a year or two ago. But honestly, this is just me. I don't, like I said, we talk about the destiny. You don't put your destiny in the hands of others,
right? Like
the studios. Tyler Perry did this. Tyler Perry created his own content, even though he started off on stage and he wasn't getting opportunities. And so he started creating his own.
Wow.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. So if no one's giving you the opportunities, then go create your opportunities. Yeah. And that's what I got to say about that, because, at the end of the day, you're allowing the big studios to control you just mentally, or because you don't see it in films. Well, then let's create some films. Yeah. Do your thing. Yeah. And like now, I'm inspired by Ozzy Aru, who was under one of the producers under Tyler Perry for 18 years because he trusted him. And Ozzy Aru now owns the largest Latino-owned studio in America, and he bought that about a year ago in Atlanta. So Tyler Perry bought 300 acres. And built 9 lots, which is now the largest studio in America, even bigger than Hollywood. Yeah, and this guy created his own style.
Self-starter.
Absolutely. So you don't wait for the big studios to give you opportunities, and that's all I got to say about that. But at the end of the day, it comes to what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and make excuses, cry about it? Man, no, I'm not waiting on nobody. That's my attitude.
I like
wait
that.
on
Yeah.
nobody. And so I'm inspired by Ozzy Rue because he's the first Latino-owned studio in America and now owns the largest Latino studio in America, which is 5 lots, which is Tyler Perry's own. Yeah. So he's doing it big, man.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to work with that guy one day.
I hope you will. I hope you will.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've actually already pitched him the project. I mean, well, I reached out to him, and so we're just because this pandemic really put everything on hold,
yeah.
you know, with the meetings and stuff. So we were actually supposed to have a meeting on my project because he is looking for Latino content.
Wow. I hope it works out, man.
Yeah, if not, I'm not waiting.
Yeah,
I'm not waiting, you know.
I mean, just like, because this is a pretty complicated issue.
It is.
I think about like what Ken Jeong. You know who Ken Jeong is? He was in The Hangover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
This guy's hilarious.
That guy is actually a doctor in real life. Well, he was a doctor before he, started acting and stuff. And so when they asked him about it, he was talking about how, I mean, he kind of gets typecast as well, right? He kind of always plays like the weird Asian guy kind of, you know, and it's like, this guy is a real life doctor and they have him playing like the idiot, you know? And it's like, I don't know. He talked about like how, yeah, it sucks to be typecast. It sucks to be stereotyped, but he said like he would rather be there and kind of work his way up. And eventually, he'll have a seat at the table. Right?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, you get your name out there. Now everybody knows who King Jeong is because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he's a doctor. He's got money. So he knows how, listen, he can make his own investment and start his own film if he wanted to. So
probably, yeah.
He's got more pull and power than we do at this point. But, but yeah, you're right. I mean, he's one of my favorite actors out there. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I would have never known that he was typecast. So
yeah, I mean, I would say he kind of was like, he does play a lot of like the similar, like kind of kooky, crazy Asian guy, but I don't know.
I actually had on my film project, the one I was telling you about, the baseball film, I actually had him on my ideal cast as a pitcher, coming out of Japan and being or whatever, that comes to the States and he plays the role of a pitcher. So it's a comedy film. So. I think he'd be great at it.
I hope we'll get to see it, and I hope you get him. Ken Jeong, if you're watching, we want you.
Get here. Give me a call, brother. You see the films.
Speaking of which, do you want to you've produced 4 shorts and 2 full features. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about these projects?
Yeah, man, I can. When I first started my acting career, within 1 month of going to auditions, trying to find out how do you get an agent. I started to go on sets and being an extra, right? And so, but within the 1 month, like I told you, I'm like, man, this is costing me a lot of headshots that they throw away.
Yeah.
This is costing me a lot of gas. And I was going to a lot of auditions. Yeah. And they were sending me all the way to Austin, right? This is not only does it cost you gas, but you also cost you food because you got to eat, unless you pack your meals. But I was just buying. And I was like, and if I added all that up, I saw, man, I should be investing in my own film. Like, these guys are taking your headshots and they're just throwing them away after your audition.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't store these guys. And you don't get it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way I was processing everything in my head. So I said, I need to find someone I can partner with and do a film, invest in it. Yeah. And that's how I came across some other actors they were looking to partner with. And they were wanting to do a film called The Ugly. And that's where I came in. That was my first short that I invested in, and I was in it. And that's actually on Vimeo. We'll have to send you the links to that.
Yeah.
Then one of my friends that I've known for since 2000, I was over 15 years.
Yeah.
He connected me with, which is the director of Natural Hair, the movie, which, by the way, has hit over 2 million stream minutes viewed. He wanted to do a short film called It's Complicated, so I invested in that. And that's how we got started. I got started with Grind Over Matters and developing those relationships with them. And then we did Wrong Girl with Grind Over Matters also invested in that. That was kind of a drama thriller. And then I did another short called Sunshine with a female director out of LA, out of Hollywood. And she's actually working on a full feature project that I'm also a part of. And so, yeah, I'm that right now, still in the works. But yeah, those 4 shorts that I've done, actually, the Sunshine was one kind of already after I did my first 2, full features. So if I'm not producing something, I gotta produce something, man. I can't go all year dry and not be doing something. And that's how Sunshine came into the picture. And then, but yeah, man, I just keep it going.
Keep it going.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you ever get tired of like moving from project to project, writing, producing?
No, not really, because everything's so spaced out. You're really wanting to achieve that project you're working on, and as you know, it does take time. So you want that one project you've been working on to come to fruition. So by the time you finish that, you're ready to move on to the next one. And so it doesn't get time because you're hungry for something new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's just crazy, I think, for most people to think about, because when they watch a movie, it's an hour or 2 hours long. They watch it, it's done, it's over, they go home, whatever. Yeah. But these movies, they took like 2, 3, 4, 5 years to make, people going in every day. And it's just crazy to think about,
Yeah, like Natural Hair, man, we watched it. Oh my God, so many. I can't even think of how many times we watched it, sat down and watched it. So it just became redundant. And my director, he was so ready to move on to the next project, and which we are. So it's on Amazon Prime now. Anyone can watch it. So we're excited. That and Ghost Note also.
I'll link those in the description. Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of this show called Rick and Morty?
No.
Okay, so it's like a cartoon. It's pretty big. On like Adult Swim, I think. Whatever. So there was a joke on that show that how everyone and their cousins were now pitching ideas to Netflix, and a lot of shows were getting picked up by Netflix. So I mean, nowadays it just seems like there's so much original content that 10 years ago would have never, made it on screen, and now a lot of it is being picked up by streaming services, Amazon Prime, that sort of thing. I mean, is it that easy to pitch an idea to Netflix?
Look, it's a lot easier than the major studios when it was only 5 of them. I think, the big 5, that's what they call them.
Yeah.
Universal Studios, Paramount, Lionsgate, I forget the other 2. But it's a lot easier to pitch because there's so many other streaming websites, not just Netflix. You got HBO, you got Amazon Prime, you got Hulu, you have Apple TV. Dude, there's countless streaming websites. Yeah, so it's a lot. You have a lot more opportunities now than you would have had 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Social media has totally changed the game. So there's no excuse why anybody who does a film, I mean, I can't stress it enough, produce quality content, have good lighting, good camera, good sound, cast, you got to fill the roles with the right cast. You can't just put anybody. That means you can't just get your buddies, And if you want to get your buddies in, great, but make sure you write them into the script that fits their personality. See what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're just you're just going to say, I'm going to pick you and then just put you as that role. But his personality doesn't fit. You got to look at it from that angle too. You know what I mean? But yeah, going back to the pitching, it is a lot easier because like we did Natural Hair, the movie. Okay. If so many people don't understand the distribution side, and here's what I mean by that. Like films, like if I wanted to get my film on Netflix, they want to see numbers. They want to see how many numbers or how well can this film generate? Right. So a lot of these films that make it to theaters, it's because somebody invested lots and lots of money to get all this, the rent on the space to do it. So if the film sells, $50 million in the opener, and then it goes on to produce more, then Netflix is going to say, you know what, we want to license that film to our we need some new content on our platform. So that's what they base it on, or they go out and just create new content. They fund your film project. So, I
mean, I'm guessing it's a lot harder than just sending an email to somebody, right? There's a lot more that goes into it because you've pitched ideas to studios and
to Netflix
companies,
mainly.
Netflix,
yeah. And I go the route where I want to do the legal route. And that means that when you have, like, my entertainment attorney sends it to the aggregators, and then the aggregator sends it to Netflix. Is this a film that they can sell? Is this a film that would do well? And they base it on the analysis on, because mine's a holiday film. So that's the first thing they're going to look at. What's the genre?
Yeah.
And because the genre, there's a formula here. on film. If you want to
Mm.
figure out a film that sells, it's the formula is the genre plus talent equals money. All right,
Yeah.
genre plus money equals talent, and that's what most investors want to know. How am I going to make money?
Yeah.
How am I going to get my money back?
Mm.
And so you got to look at it from the genre. So horror films sell, holiday films sell. What's the other one? Religious films sell. Believe it or not, they
Interesting.
sell. They
Never would
sell
have
very
thought about
well.
that. Huh.
Oh man, they sell. They sell a lot. That's why Mel Gibson did The Passion, man. So he made some money. He got paid, but yeah, and that he didn't even have to invest in marketing in that.
Mm.
That movie just got out, and the critics marketed the film, and he made bank.
Mm.
Yeah. So, comedy is very borderline.
Yeah.
Because you can't translate the same humor, English humor, in other countries. It just doesn't translate the same.
Yeah.
See what I mean? That's why action films sell.
Mm.
Anybody can translate an action.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So those are all things you got to think about when you're making these. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're making a business decision, that's what those you have to think about those things. How is it going to make money?
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, and another thing, you mentioned horror, comedy. Those are all genres that are, I would assume, are cheaper to make than, say, like Transformers or something, where you got giant robots fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah, that all depends on cast. Like if you're getting an A-list actor, that's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
It all depends on a genre you choose. Like with a horror film, you don't have to get a big name.
Yeah.
You just make it scary as hell. That's like, you don't need a big name in horror films. Also, locations. Depends on how many locations you get. Like I've known a film that was only 2 locations. They filmed it in the room and in the backyard, and they went to the other side of the house, and it made it look like it was.
Wow.
Yeah, looked like they was in the jungle, and then the backyard of the house, and then there was inside the house, and then they only had one location. They used that whole house as one location. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it just depends. But if you got to go to a restaurant, you got to go to a Sky, one of those big buildings.
Yeah.
Let's see. Or bridge. Oh, I mean, all these locations, man, because you got to pay transportation and all that stuff. So, yeah, think about that.
Yeah. Huh. Those are all, things you got to think about when you're,
catering, food, things like that, all that stuff.
Safety.
Yeah. So if you can write a script, and a very interesting script in one location, and knock it out in 2 weeks, you'll save money. You'll make, because you want to try to keep your budget as low as you can.
Yeah.
To try to get your money back.
What's the budget like if you compare like one of these small film projects versus like a Marvel movie or Transformers or Game of Thrones?
Oh, well, it's the talent behind the graphic designs and all that special effects stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went to school for this, so they're gonna want money.
Yeah.
That's one. Most guys that unless you have some kid that grew up just watching video games and they just start messing around, and you came across him and he just knows all about special effects. Like, dude, I saw a YouTube video of these kids doing war, and they just had a friend that knew how to do special effects, and dude, they created some good stuff. So
interesting.
I definitely see a good future with if they stay together and producing good content. Yeah, absolutely. So, like 2 years ago, I was at the American Film Market, and I saw this film. Think of the movie called The Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy was out of Ohio or Idaho, I don't remember. He had 4 of his kids or 5 of his kids that he put to school. One of them went to school as a writer. One of them went to school as a director. One of them went to school as a business person. One of them went to school for special effects. And the film that they showed me, they were all in it as actors. Or 2 of them were actors. They went to school for acting. And dude, they made that film, I mean, pure quality. It was like, it reminded me of Chronicles of Narnia. And they shot this on their own land, their own property. They had I think they had like 5 acres, and they shot it all in one location. And so his kids, they did the whole movie.
Wow.
So he was able to make he made his movie less than $100,000. It looked like a freaking $5-10 million or probably $30 million budget. Yeah. And he didn't have big names. It was just the quality of the film.
So a lot of it is, how do you use the resources that you have? How do you use the talent that you have?
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, man. I mean, one of the things that you could do is when like, especially today,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these, you look for actors that are actually branding themselves. And if they're on the verge of a big break, but they haven't gotten their break,
Yeah.
but they have a good following,
Yeah.
that helps you market your film out there.
Mm.
So you look at you before they get too big.
Yeah.
As soon as they get big, you're gonna be paying big money.
Unaffordable.
Absolutely, and that's
Yeah.
what we did with Natural Hair.
Uh-huh.
We got actors that were up and coming,
Yeah.
even as musicians.
Mm-hmm.
We used some of their music in the film
Mm-hmm.
before they signed with big labels. So we
Mm.
were able to get like 3 or 4 talents of their music before they went on signed on with a record label.
Mm. Before they made it big.
Yeah, so we got lucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Those are, yeah, I mean,
Those,
those are all things you got to think about. Yeah.
because now you could find a lot of music, quality music
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube on kids that or artists that are coming out.
Yeah.
And they're really well known just through
Mm-hmm.
social media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. And so you reach out to any of those, they would love
Yeah.
their song to be in your movie
Mm.
because it helps them market their music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you're helping each other, you help him, he helps you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're able to collaborate,
Mm-hmm.
leverage each other's talents.
Awesome, man. So one thing I think a lot of people might think is like, what if someone steals my idea, right? What if I go and pitch a movie? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right?
Right.
What if I go pitch a movie, they turn it down a couple months later, they're coming out with the movie that's basically my idea, except they changed a little bit, will that happen? Or,
It can't happen if you talk to too many people. The best thing to do is, talk less about your project, and if you are going to talk about your project, just like for me, I just when I talk about my project, I say, oh, it's a holiday film. I don't give any more specifics than that.
Yeah.
I don't give titles. I don't give what the movie's about. I don't give. It's a holiday film, and it's Latino based. So, and of course, my film is very much has a lot of diversity. I'm not going to be one of those producers that just it's all one color.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy to think that you live in a world where it's just one color, and it's not. It's cool to share the beauty of your culture, but my parents or my family is very mixed. Like I have a brother married a Haitian girl, and one of my brothers had married an Afro-American girl, but they divorced, so he ended up marrying a Filipino, and so now my sister's married a white guy. So it's like, man. So yeah, we're very much mixed. So that's exactly how when I wrote my film, it's inspired by close to my personal life.
Gotcha. I mean, so you say you don't say much. Is this to just regular people who ask about it, or to the people you're pitching it to?
No, when you're pitching it to someone, you want to have a pitch deck. Of course, it's going to have the synopsis, the log line of your film in the project. I mean, in the pitch deck, and of course the title,
right?
The movie cover. So yeah, those are the only ones. But you have them sign an NDA, and make sure that your script is copyrighted. Also, you don't want to present any of that stuff until it's copyrighted. And you also have, like me, I've always had my attorneys copyright it for me, even though I can do it myself.
Yeah.
But it always looks better when you have an attorney do it.
Gotcha.
People are gonna look at you different when you're sitting at the table when you have an attorney sitting next to you. So they're gonna take you a little more serious than you just coming in by yourself.
I'm assuming that's not cheap to get an attorney to work with you on this.
It's not, but I've been, like I said earlier, I've been blessed to be able to have an entertainment attorney that want to partner with me because of the content, the quality content that I produce. And these guys want to partner with you. So we've been able to help each other out, like we talked about earlier, as a team.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like you share the risk, but you also share the reward type deal.
Yeah, and we all get paid in the back end, so that's everybody wants to work together. Like I said, one of the attorneys is a writer himself, and one of the entertainment attorneys is an actor himself. So, hey,
yeah.
So that's how one of the things that they want to do, even though they're an entertainment attorney, they also still want to act. They still want to write. So
yeah.
And so they partner with people that are creating content.
That makes sense. So that's how you kind of protect yourself. You make sure, get them to sign an NDA, make sure all your stuff is in order, all your stuff is copyrighted. So that's how you protect yourself.
Because I had a film, like when I pitched my film project, I had a film that came out, Mario Lopez came out with it. Announced it about 2-3 months ago. One of my friends follows him and he says, hey man, look, he just announced the project, the same title that I had, only mine had the movie at the end. And I'm like, man, so we had to do a serious investigation on it to see if it was stolen.
Wow.
But it wasn't, because it wasn't by Netflix that was going to be produced by. It was actually being produced by, oh my gosh, who was it? It was like a Hallmark film. So
okay.
yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, thank God. So so I changed the title for the sake of the pitch, because you don't want to film with the same title as someone else is doing. Otherwise, the Netflix can confuse it. It's like, well, isn't this film already being done?
Yeah.
So they won't even look at it. You know what I mean? So I changed the title and resubmitted it.
So you guys were kind of a little worried about, was it like
Yes.
industrial espionage or something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it can't happen. That's what, that's the other thing that I kind of get sometimes concerned about. That's why I have entertainment attorney that I submitted through. Because again, they'll take you a little more serious as opposed to you submitting it yourself, because they will and they can steal your content. It happened to a writer, I forget his name, but he pitched the film to, I forget what studio, but it was the same production company that produced, what's that, with Jim Carrey, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
The writer was driving down the road after 5 years later, and he looks up and he sees the billboard with Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey's face on it. And he was like, what the? And of course they went to, he sued the production, but after 6 years of going through court, they paid him out $6 million, but the studios go out and make over $100 million. And Jim Carrey got his $30 million. He got paid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff does happen in Hollywood, I guess, then.
Absolutely. It's crazy because at that time, Jim Carrey was the highest paying actor in Hollywood.
Yeah, I remember those movies were really popular. I watched them.
Yeah, while the writer didn't get nothing. He got $6 million, but dude, it just sucks because his name will never be on that screen, screenplay on screen to say that he wrote it. So he had to settle.
Wow.
And my entertainment attorney said this, that he said the only sucky thing about that, if that happens, is that when you sue one of the production companies and they know about you, no one's going to ever want to work with you.
Yeah, okay.
And it's kind of so toothpaste because it's crap. Right? Because like, dude, that was mine.
Yeah. So you're getting screwed over like twice, kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if like most moviegoers even like think about that. Like when they watch Dumb and Dumber, like that was somebody else's idea, hypothetically, or whatever, like.
Nope. Not unless you're in the business. That's it. Yeah, they're paying tickets to be entertained. They don't care about what's going on. Hey, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. But I mean, $6 million is not bad to get paid, but at the same time, that's
true, because a lot of writers only get paid about $1,000, $2,000 for their script to get bought.
Wow.
I know it sucks. But once you're a well-known writer, shoot, you're getting paid a lot. I'm talking about $100 million, $30 to $100 million to write a screenplay for the major studios.
Wow.
Yep.
I remember I watched this interview with the guy who did Rocky. What was his name again?
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone, yeah. He wrote Rocky, and so when he was pitching it, they said they wanted to buy it from him. They kept offering him more and more money, but his deal was like, you have to cast me as the main character, otherwise, I'm not going to sell.
That's right. He just, when he saw they kept biting, they offered him $30,000. It's like, man, he went from $0 to $30,000.
Yeah.
So he kept pushing the button, and it jumped up to $100,000.
Yeah.
And he said, man, if they jumped to $30,000, they now went to $100,000. Well, I'm gonna push. I'm gonna keep pushing. And so I think it went up to $300,000.
I think so, yeah.
And also got casted and became one of the producers for that project. I have to say that he got lucky. He got lucky because they could have just stolen the project, just like what happened to the other writer. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I have to say he got lucky. The project wasn't stolen from him.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do if you were like in his shoes back then? Like if they kept offering you, what do you think you would have done?
Man, that's a good question.
Because like hindsight is 2020, right? I mean, it's hard to say like what you would do in that situation.
I mean, they wasn't offering him a lot
Mm-hmm.
for the script, so I would have to say, no, man.
No,
I don't think I would have sold it. No,
really.
especially if you're the writer and you wrote it
Mm-hmm.
with the intent that you're going to be acting in it.
Yeah,
I mean, you're pretty much writing your own personal life story
almost. Yeah.
into the script, almost, because he did take content that was like he emulated, and when he was writing, he was pulling from or inspired from like George Fraser, Muhammad Ali, characters like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came out with a documentary called The Real Rocky, which is who was it that fought Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, he
They call
knocked him
him
down for a second. Yeah.
they call him the Bleeder, and I forget what his real name is, but they did a movie on him, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, he actually sued Sylvester Stallone,
Mm.
and it went to court, and they settled. They told him to settle. It was on ESPN, and they said,
Mm.
"Man, my advice to you, as long as you settle, because it was a big deal. I mean, even Muhammad Ali confronted him on stage at the awards. He says,
Oh
"Hey man,
wow.
he was like, where's my money? You owe me some money." Never sued him, but it's kind of embarrassing when somebody's coming at you like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because
Speak. Go ahead.
if you watch Custom Model,
Uh-huh.
when he was talking to Mike Tyson in his young days,
Mm-hmm.
dude, the guy Mickey in the movie, that's where it was inspired from, because
Mm.
it was like almost word for word.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
man.
Are there any writers or producers that you look up to that you're inspired by?
Producers, for sure. Ozzy Ruiz is top of the list. Him being Latino.
Mm-hmm.
Actors, I have to say, Denzel Washington.
Denzel.
I think the guy's phenomenal. Even in his late age, Sylvester Stallone was one too.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned him, because I would have to say he inspired me to work out just watching his movies and stuff. That's crazy. But yeah, man, I mean, those are the ones that are at the top of my head. Of course, that guy from little short guy, I forget his name already, from Game of Thrones.
Lannister, I think.
One of the Lannisters.
He was in that Marvel movie as well. I forgot his
What
name.
is his name? Yeah.
Gotta Google. Let me Google real quick.
Yeah. So he's such an inspiring artist. Have you seen Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't actually. That's
You
been
gotta
something
watch it.
I kept putting it off, and I so want to watch it, but
9 seasons. I watched them all, and I will
Peter
tell you,
Dinklage. Peter Dinklage.
There you go, Peter Dinklage. Guy is a phenomenal actor. Phenomenal, man. I'm inspired. I would just say he kind of surpassed Denzel in my list in terms of being an artist. So you just gotta watch him, and you'll see what I mean.
Like, what is it about him that you like?
It's the way he gives gestures and the way he reacts to every detail of the people, the other actors around him, or what comes out of the mouths of the other actors. His reactions are just creative. Like, dude, how do you? I mean, and when I did my research on him, he's done a lot of theater acting. I mean, a lot. So he didn't just come out. This guy had been investing in himself for a long, long time. But when you see him, you'll see what I'm talking about. How he's so detailed.
Right.
He'll look at this way, and he'll just look right at you like this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so creative. And he's holding his glass of wine. Yeah.
I did watch an interview with him, and I think he talked about how a lot of times, going back to typecasting, they would offer him a stereotype role, and he actually turned a lot of roles down, and he had trouble breaking in because they only wanted to cast him in those types of roles.
Was it just a dwarf?
Yeah.
They wanted to cast him as a dwarf, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not how you wanted to be portrayed.
Yeah. I don't know. I just never got into it. And as it got more and more popular, where, everybody, literally all my classmates were talking about it, it was just like, for me, I think like as soon as something becomes too popular and mainstream, a lot of times I like to not get into it, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean. It took time for me to get into the films as well. I had to push myself through it. And once I got into like season 3, that's when it became interesting. In the beginning stages, they're just introducing the characters. They're introducing like each of the kingdoms, what's going on. So, and you're trying to catch up and understand, okay, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so it was until like you get like 4 to 5, that's when you really start getting hungry for the next
Wow.
episode, next episode. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad I watched it until all the seasons were done.
So
Because
that's
I
what you
can't
did. Okay.
stand, yes, I can't stand when I watch something and then it's like, and they leave you in suspense.
Yeah.
And you have to
I'm
wait
typically like that too. Like I like to watch it all in one go, where it's like you don't have to wait for
for another year before it
yeah
comes
for
out.
another year. I mean,
absolutely. That's I'm going through that right now with Queens of the South. I have to wait a whole year before the next season comes out. Like, dang. So yeah, they leave me in suspense. So at this point, I just took time out. I'm gonna wait till they're all done.
That's smart. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, man, I forgot to mention this other movie that I'm in. It's a full feature that's gonna probably come out next year.
Yeah.
We're looking to end and do a private screener. It's called The Devil's Ring. So it's a boxing film, and we had a lot of big players that are involved in this project. You'll probably see if you look it up on Facebook, The Devil's Ring. It's there where he's promoting. You'll see all of the cast that he's pulled in and stuff. Some of the older school guys will probably recognize the lead actor, but and some of the folks that are into boxing, they'll recognize some of the even fighters that are up and coming. And so yeah, in fact, one of the fighters just recently died in a car crash. It was all over the news. I was like, golly, and he was in our film.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many do you use mostly fighters for the fight scenes, or do you use?
You I would think so. I mean, unless you go out and train as an actor, because you want to look as close to look like you know how to fight.
Yeah.
You know, like Sylvester Stallone, he did boxing. You know, at first I didn't think he ever took boxing at all, because his form is different. You know, but I saw that he emulated like George Frazier. Yeah. Okay. And so But yeah, I'm really excited about this film. I think he's the quality. It looks good. To see what it looks like when the editing's done.
Cool. I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I'll link whatever you need me to link in the description. Let people know. Yeah,
absolutely. And so I'm gonna be, just for all of the you listeners out there and yourself, I'm starting a podcast called The Roar, and it's just based on my book Limitless. One of the chapters is called The Roar. It's we talked about how there's a thing inside of us and it wants to come out. And I think at a point we just want to roar. And we want to be loud. We want to be known. We want to share our talents. We want to show our talents. The problem is some of these artists, just like anything else, are afraid of how the world's going to perceive them. If they come out, am I going to look stupid? I'm going to feel stupid.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah.
I learned in my acting class, they said, man, you just got to let stupid come out. It was that simple, man.
Yeah.
I said, just let stupid come out and let it be natural, because on camera, it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
And the more real you are, the funnier it is. The more you try to act like you're funny, the cheesier it is. So the best comedy is just be real.
I mean, yeah, for sure. That's like, even with me starting this podcast, I was thinking like, it's so easy to just say like, no, I can't do it. What are people going to think of me? What are people going to say to me? Like, it's so easy to make excuses, right?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Well, man, I commend you for it, man. That stepping out, because that takes guts. It does take, and who cares? I mean, they were never there to encourage you, or they're not giving you that phone call. Hey, how you doing? How you been? Like, screw that. Like, go do your thing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. What surprised me about, in my class, I grew up being I remember I took remedial classes, and I did a book tour sign with Barnes and Nobles for an entire year. And then I was really surprised at some of my friends that had valedictorians and salutatorians in their school.
Yeah.
They were afraid to become an author because they were afraid of how the world was going to perceive them, or how, if the work was going to be cheesy or good. They were afraid to even get started.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're a valedictorian. I'm a remedial guy.
Yeah.
Like, don't let that stop you.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you just do it. Don't think about it. If you think too much about it, you're pretty much convincing yourself not to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just living your life based on what other people think, and you're not going to get far with that.
And exactly, because it's not everybody's controlling you. It's literally, you're the ones controlling yourself. And then, no, man, just do it.
Just do it.
That's how we all learn. We learn from our mistakes, and you just sharpen what you do wrong, and learn from it, and then try a different approach.
Yeah, for sure. You brought up your book. This was a question I was going to ask is the difference between writing a book versus, writing a movie. Can you kind of talk
Right.
about that?
Oh no, yeah, it's totally different. I mean, when I wrote my book, I write a rough draft.
Mm,
I write everything out that's coming out of my heart, everything that's I've been thinking and just um, contemplating on. And usually I let it out right then and there. I'll write it on some little pad or note because then I'll forget that
mm,
moment. And so after that point, I hire an editor to help me, edit the book, make sure it flows good, make
mm,
sure the story line makes sense. A screenplay is totally different. Like I write the idea
mm.
and then I hire a screenplay writer. Like this movie that I'm pitching,
Yeah.
I had a guy move in with me for almost a year
Mm, wow.
so he can know me and see my personality
Mm,
to write the screenplay close to how I envision it, how I'm
yeah.
seeing it, and how my life is, so that he could better understand like how to write the screenplay.
Mm,
And so when we went through it, man, I was like, dude, I'm actually like I'm in it. I feel like I live in
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we did a private reading,
Mm.
yeah, it was good. So I was really happy about it.
That is some real dedication right there.
It does, man. Like I said, I had the guy live with me, for almost
Hmm.
a year. So it's crazy, but it happened. So, but it was good. It was a good journey
Yeah.
because I knew that I was moving forward,
Hmm.
and him being there, I knew it was getting done.
Yeah.
You know, and but he's a very creative writer.
Hmm.
He's very good. He's very imaginative. Like he can capture like based on your personality.
Mm,
If he sees you on an everyday basis and he just sits back and watches
hmm.
your reactions and so okay, and he'll pitch this idea to you,
Yeah.
and then they said okay, you like that, okay, you like this,
Hmm.
and he'll start writing away.
So it's much less of like a logical step by step thing versus being emotional and just letting it all out.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And what I liked about the writer is that they ask questions. They ask me
Mm,
questions. Well, what do you feel? What are your idea? What is your relationship with your dad?
hmm. Hmm.
And so then he'll come up with three different ways to write. My relationship with pops. Well, what do you think
Right.
about this confrontation you guys had?
Yeah.
And there was times where he wrote it in too intense. I was like, oh no,
Mm.
this is just remember it's a holiday family
Yeah.
comedy film.
Hmm.
So we have to make it like where we're confronting each other, but in
Right.
a comedic way,
Mm.
where it's real, but make it funny.
Right. Right. Right.
See what I mean?
It's a
So yeah,
balance.
the balance, yeah. Because I want it to be impactful, and it's
Hmm.
going to be impactful. So it's going to be like a dramedy, but it's not too much on the dramatic side.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we'll let you know when it comes when it's. I'm just looking forward to once this market opens back up because my
Yeah.
intern return they won't
Hmm.
release it because out of the fear or the thought that it would get stolen.
Mm. Okay.
Because yeah, so we're just gonna wait till they come out and say, hey, we need some content.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's smart.
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, we have interested investors that are interested in the project. So
Hmm.
if that comes first, then great,
Yeah. Of course.
great, we'll get going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know for my film, I want big names.
Mm.
So it's gonna be a nice, decent budget on my film.
Nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any tips for like aspiring writers or producers? How can they get their foot in the door?
Man, it's for writers. There are writing clubs. Like one of my friends who's an attorney, Jay
Yeah.
Kane. He goes to these writing groups where it's all these screenplay writers get together every week. I think it's every Mondays. So try to find a team or a group that you can, if you're trying to sharpen your craft, join those
Hmm.
groups. And they're on Facebook. If you just look on Facebook for groups, writing groups, or
Hmm.
screenplay writing groups, you'll find them there. You can network, like if you're an actor, find
Hmm.
acting groups where there's directors, producers that are looking for talent there. They're
Mm.
just trying to get started, and they're looking for talent that is also trying to get started because
Hmm.
more than likely they're free because they're just trying to get
Yeah.
out. They're trying to get out there too.
Yeah.
So everyone just tries to get together and work as a team.
Mm.
So just go out there and look,
Look for
network.
opportunities. Mm.
Absolutely, because here's what's crazy. When I was going to the American film market to learn the business,
Hmm.
there would be guys sitting out on the lobby at Lowe's Hotel, and they were just sitting there, on their phone, and I'm like, they're not talking to anybody.
Yeah.
And so why are you here? You spent $800 to come here.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're sitting there not talking to nobody. And they ask me these questions. So I go talk to them.
Yeah.
But I talk to everybody. Like, I'm a networking freak. Like, it just comes natural for me. There are some people that are just shy out there, but you got to break out of that. If this is something you want to do, you're going to have to network.
You never know what kind of opportunities may arise.
Absolutely. Yeah. You just open up your mouth. I mean, some people treat you like they're just better than you, then just next. Just say next. That's what I say. Next. You know, it's like, okay, fine. Don't talk to me then.
Yeah.
You know?
You can't let it get to you.
I don't let it get to me. No, I move on. It's like me going up to the plate playing pro ball. If I strike out and I let it fester, and then I go back up to the plate, I'm gonna strike out again. It's like, no, I let it go. I learned to let it go.
Yeah.
Once I strike out, hey, okay, shake it off. You know, tell yourself that you're gonna hit the ball. You're gonna hit the ball. And I go out there and I hit the ball.
Right. Mentality. Yeah.
It's all about the mindset.
So, I mean, writing, it's not even something like you don't necessarily have to go to college for. You can kind of learn on your own.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about your creativity, you know, and your passion, your desire to want to learn. You'll learn. Like when I got into video editing, I learned by myself. I didn't go to school for it.
Yeah.
I just messed with it.
Yeah.
Well, how do you think these kids are doing it today? They're just watching a lot of videos and just messing with stuff. You know, how do you achieve playing a video game? They just go in and just play it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it. You know?
Yeah.
So don't think about it. Just do it. And if you think about it, then at least just do it. Either way, just do it.
For sure.
You know?
It's good advice. Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. But look, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Max. And you're doing a great thing, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Man. All right. I think, that's a good place to end this right now. That's about all the time we have. Pablo, like I said, really appreciate it. All the things you want to plug, you can send to me. I'll link those in the description. You know, people can check them out. Cool. So thanks guys for watching. You know, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any ideas, if you want to come on the show, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Bye. Thanks, Pablo.
Peace. Yes, sir. Thank you.